VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
And friends, thank you for joining us on Crosstalk today, coming your way from the VCY America Network. Just this morning, just hours ago, Newsmax released a story that someone used artificial intelligence-powered software to imitate Secretary of State Marco Rubio's voice and writing style in contacting foreign ministers. I understand up to 3 foreign ministers, a U.S. governor, and a member of Congress. While at this point they don't know who is doing it, it's believed that the offender likely was attempting to manipulate powerful government officials with the goal of gaining access to information or accounts. The one perpetrating this used texting and the encrypted messaging app Signal. And it's highly concerning as to where AI is rapidly going and into whose hands this is falling. And if you were not concerned before, it's critically important that you understand that just recently Mark Zuckerberg announced the creation of Meta Superintelligence Labs to propel the advancement from artificial general intelligence, or AGI, to artificial superintelligence, or ASI. And it doesn't stop there. Zuckerberg wants to make this open source. What does that mean? Why all the uproar? Why the concern? Our guest today calls it a digital Tower of Babel. Joining us today, we welcome Martin Mawyer, who is president of Christian Action Network. Martin began his career as a journalist for the Religion Today news syndicate and as the Washington news correspondent for Moody Monthly magazine. This resulted in his position as the editor-in-chief of Jerry Falwell's Moral Majority Report. In 1990, he founded the Christian Action Network. They're a nonprofit organization that was created to protect America's religious and moral heritage through educational and political activism efforts. He's the author of 4 books, has directed 3 documentary films. Martin, thank you for joining us today here on Crosstalk.
Well, thank you for having me on, Jim. I'm glad to be here.
Martin, you are sounding the alarm for really good reason. As we talk about this significant development in AI, we've got a lot of ground to cover. But I think it's first important to define our terminology here. And if you would define, we're using acronyms, AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. That's labs that Mark Zuckerberg wants to build. And the next level after that is ASI, Artificial Superintelligence. Could you define those for us?
Yeah, I'll give it my best. You're right. There's a lot of special lingo that goes on in the AI world. And understanding what they mean and what they're talking about is very critical for our safety, actually. So it's something we can't ignore, and we have to actually pay attention and figure out what this tech speak really means to us. So right now, if people use AI, whether it's Siri or ChatGPT or they go to Gemini on Google, any of the ones that are currently out there, they're using what's called ANI. That stands for Artificial Narrow Intelligence. So in this particular case, you can communicate with it. It can help you write emails. It can do some legal work for you. It's an astounding program, and it's very smart. But the one thing that it doesn't have is human-like capability. It doesn't consider itself human. It doesn't have emotions. It can't reason. It can't plot out good or evil at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean that bad actors there can't use ANI to do evil things, because you just mentioned in the opening how it's being used to imitate people and set up who knows what nefarious activities behind their goals there. But ANI is being used already to do some very nefarious evil things. Well, once it advances past ANI, it then moves to artificial general intelligence, which, by the way, no one has created yet, not Zuckerberg, not OpenAI, not Google. No one has achieved that yet. But they're on the cusp of it. And Zuckerberg wants to be ahead of the game. And not only does he want to just like be in the game, be ahead of the game, he wants to feel that he can advance it so far that he'll go from ANI all the way to AGI and then immediately after that somehow achieve ASI, which is super intelligent artificial intelligence. Now, this is scary stuff. Most people don't know how frightening this is. It will keep you up late at night, as it has me, and we've devoted a lot of resources, as you know, Jim, in the last few weeks, trying to get word out as to how dangerous this is. Now, what makes this particularly dangerous is that AGI or ASI, whatever we want to call it, has the ability to do some very evil things all on its own. It can immediately hack into any system that's out there. It can hack into water treatment systems. It can break codes. It can come up with its own biological weapons. And so what the people in the tech world are doing right now before they go to AGI is trying to control what this thing can do once it's released. So they're trying to put what they call human parameters on it. In other words, it wants it to think like we think as humans. So it puts these brackets around it and guidelines and saying you can't do this. If you get this type of response, you should act like that. Well, you and I both know that you can't possibly code into a machine every possible human reaction to every possible situation someone's in. So they're going to miss something. There's no question about that. And they may miss a lot of things. But what makes this even more dangerous is that Zuckerberg wants to make it open source. Now, what does that mean? That means that anybody will have access to this super intelligent machine that he is creating, and they can do whatever they want with it. So even if they put the parameters, the human-like parameters around super intelligent AI, anybody getting a hold of it can easily then remove those parameters from that program and make it do the bad things it wants it to do. Now, there's a lot of evil people out there, Jim. You know that as well I do. And we could just go on for the next 30 minutes naming how many evil people are out there. We can name drug cartels. We can name North Korea. We can name China. We can just go on down the list. Those people would have a very particular interest in using Zuckerberg's artificial super intelligence machine to conduct some very evil things. They have the ability, and this is what's really scary about it. I know people think I'm exaggerating this. They would have the ability to hold the whole world hostage in just a matter of moments if they desire to do that, bending the world to their will. Either do this or we will unleash that, and there will be no way to stop it. And that's the scary thing about this.
Yeah, Martin, where does it gain its intelligence? How does it get this information?
Well, it gains its intelligence typically by feeding it in all this information, and it's got millions and millions and millions of documents that it has scanned throughout the Internet and through online sources to have the information inside of it. So it knows how to do these things. If someone in Russia knows how to hack into MGM casino out in Nevada, this thing knows how it did it. And it would be able to duplicate that and do it 10 times faster, if not 1,000,000 times faster, than any human can do it. So it already has this information in it. The question is, can it logically think that that's what it wants to do, or can it be instructed to do this? That's when you start moving into AGI, and now you can guide this program to do what you want it to do, or it may on its own decide what it wants to do. And here's a typical example that's out there. You may program it into it and say, killing humans is bad. But the program itself may think, well, killing humans is bad, but if the environment is going to kill X number of humans, and I can kill these few humans to save the greater number of humans, then I'm going to implement what I was programmed to do, and that is to save human life. And there would be no way to stop it from doing it because it would have access immediately, if it wanted to force humankind to bend to its will. It can hold it hostage. It can say, if you do not do this, I will shut down your water treatment plants. I will shut down your electric grids. And it can go on and on and on. The vast ability that this artificial general intelligence, not even super intelligence, would have. And that's in the hands of good people. I like this one saying that I heard. It's like, we got to hope that the good demons outweigh the bad demons.
Wow.
And that's exactly what we're going to be facing. Well, we have enough good demons, and that's an oxymoron, right? What's a good demon? But they're all demons. But there are even worse demons than these demons out there, and we got to hope that the good demons outweigh the bad demons in this machine.
Martin Mawyer is with us today, and really a warning about the open source AGI plan that is underway, and even to leap us from AGI to ASI, that's certainly very troubling as to where this is going, the artificial general intelligence to the artificial super intelligence. And Martin, the other aspect about this is it's kind of like this AI has, as you said, the rapid reading, scanning capability. I mean, it's like every book in this world, it already has that knowledge, and every reference and medical paper and everything, and it's in that constant learning mode for everything new that's introduced, even online.
Yeah, and that's, the amazing thing about it, and I've used AI all the time here at Christian Action Network. Mm-hmm. We use the narrow version, of course. And it'll amaze you how quickly it can retrieve information and spit it out. I mean, it's like instant. Sometimes I think it's printing the answer to my question as I'm typing it. Because it can reach in and respond that quickly. Right. And that's how quickly it will be able to respond to any other evil command that this thing comes up with, either through the direction of a bad actor or because it decides that's the direction it wants to go.
And as you point out, there are many bad actors, and you talked about the open source. And so what happens if this open source hits the Internet?
If it hits the Internet as open source, we all die. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. And I know that sounds scary, but once it goes out there, I just can't believe it's hard for me to digest the fact that Zuckerberg is actually going to release a super intelligent AI for open source out to the public. Mm-hmm. And there's no turning back. He has between 0 and 5 minutes to change his mind after he does that, because once he does it, people are already prepared. They're going to download it. They're going to move it to the clouds. They're going to move it to peer-to-peer. They're going to move it to mirror cloud forms, and then it's unretrievable. Mm-hmm. There's no way any government and Zuckerberg or any other tech out there will be able to retrieve it once it's out there. Now it's in the hands forever of bad people.
Right.
And if you think bad is now, look, you raised an interesting point at the beginning, and it can't be understated. AI already is being used to do some very bad things out there. And, some horrible things. And we don't need to go through all of them, mm-hmm. but one of the things that it's being used to do is to clone the voice of a small child that they found on the Internet and get it to say what it wants to say, call the grandparent and say, hey, Grandma, I've been kidnapped, and these people aren't going to let me go unless you give $5,000, and they're going to send someone to your house, and if you give $5,000, they'll free me, and it'll sound exactly like your grandchild. Wow. You're not going to know the difference. And a lot of grandparents are falling for that scam.
They are falling for it. Friends, we've got so much more information to bring to your attention, because not only are we going to talk about the problem, but also what you can do. So be ready to jot down some information as well. We'll be back in a minute here on Crosstalk.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, scientist with the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, what were the flying dinosaurs?
Chris, the flying reptiles like the pterodactyls were not really dinosaurs. By definition, dinosaurs walked on land with bones different from the flying reptiles, but they're often in the same discussion, usually as being huge reptiles from the great age of reptiles. Of course, I disagree with the term age of reptiles. I think all animals were created during creation week. Flying animals on day 5 and land animals on day 6. But, there's a lot of evidence that these flying reptiles lived at the same time as humans. Sober historians of yesteryear described such beasts and even drew pictures of them. And the American Indians even drew pictures of the thunderbird, and their drawings are similar to the pteranodon. Make no mistake, Chris, the evidence fits the back to Genesis truth of recent creation of all things.
Thanks, Dr. Morris. For more on creation, visit our website at www.icr.org.
You're listening to Crosstalk on the VCY American Network. Martin Mawyer is with us today. He is president of Christian Action Network with a warning today in regard to the open source AGI plan. And friends, it is underway as we have Mark Zuckerberg announcing the creation of Meta Superintelligence Labs. Matter of fact, and we'll be talking more about him, he is actually going out and he's on a poaching spree right now trying to secure top talent in all of this. And as we're talking with Martin Mawyer today, as you heard in the opening segment, the concern is very, very strong that this is going to fall into the wrong hands. If it's on open source, it just gets put out online. Within moments, this open source AI is going to be downloaded and can be used for very, very rogue purposes. And Martin, when we hear, in today's, whether it be on university campuses or from Iran itself, a death to Israel, death to America, literally, the tools will be put in rogue people's hands to carry out their dastardly deeds.
Oh, absolutely. If they wanted to create a pathogen, an AGI, much less a super AGI, would be able to give the recipe for it, and they would have it, and they would be able to use it.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
So Mark Zuckerberg is very much behind this and has announced this. He's doing. Any idea why he is doing it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I do have ideas why. You and I grew up during what was called the arms race. Actually, I don't know how old you are, but I grew up during the arms race. And so all these countries are out there saying, who can build the biggest, baddest weapon out there?
Yep.
But what we're seeing right now is what I call a tech race as to who can build the fastest, best AI system out there. And so a lot of these people are just ignoring the consequences of what they're doing. They want to be first. They want to be the ones that have that crown on their head. I was the first person to come out with AGI, and Zuckerberg wants to elevate it higher than that. I was the first person to come out with ASI. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a quote I would like to read to you. It's rather short, and it's from the co-founder of the Machine Intelligence Research Institute. Here's what he said: "If you try to build a safe AGI without solving alignment first, you die." It's very simple, it's very hard to understand that we would actually pursue a machine with the capability that someone in the industry itself would say, you die. Now, what does it mean by solving alignment first? We talked about that a little briefly before the break. Solving alignment first means we got to make sure that AGI and ASI has what human-like qualities and characters and values that we would have in it. And if you don't solve that problem first, then it will go rogue, and it'll come up with its own ideas of what's best for the world. And on its own, whether bad actor or not, on its own, it would have the ability to hold the world hostage. Yeah. I kind of look at this as sort of like the gateway for the Antichrist to walk in.
Yeah. And I was just going to mention that, the very thoughts going through my mind, because we know, and friends, let me first of all say, this is, troubling information, and I want to underscore, as Scripture says, God's not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Greater is he that's in you than he that is in the world. So it's not that we live in fear of, my life's going to be taken here. It is rather to be understanding of the times in which we live, but understand what is going on, friends, because one known as Antichrist is going to be coming and having a control. Martin, Scripture says one's not going to be able to buy or sell. Those who are here on the earth at that time, buy or sell without having the mark. People are going to be tracked in ways that not even think possible here today. But that's where this is all heading in the hands of a rogue player, and you can just see the total domination and control one will have with this type of AI.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I have an analogy here that I think will help people understand. If AGI is being used for good, and some rogue person out there, some nefarious individual group decides to pull a scam on a grandmother, like we talked before, right, and said $5,000 or your child dies, AGI itself would know that scam is going on at the moment this scam artist attempted to deprive that grandmother out of $5,000, and AGI would be able to cancel that check before the thieves actually were able to cash it. That's how smart AGI is. Well, if it's that smart to be able to do that, it's also that smart to do the opposite.
Right.
So it just depends on who is controlling AGI, which is why right now our campaign is to get Congress to pass a bill prohibiting AGI from being open source. Look, it's going to come out. There's no stopping it. I'm a realist. It's going to come out. There's no way we humans can stop what these tech people are doing. But I think Congress would be very open to the idea to stop it from coming out as open source, which would hand a tremendous gift to the leaders of China and Russia, North Korea, and many cartel leaders out there. We have to stop that, or we're just going to speed up the inevitable. We have a petition on our website. We have two things on our website. We have something that we put up there for your listeners that they can download. It's called Unleashing the Beast. We're going to talk about a little bit about what is going on here. But this 18-page report will give you all the ammunition and all the details that you need to fully understand the consequences and what is happening right now. You can download that for free. We also, on our front page of the website, have a petition that you can sign to Congress, and you can read what the petition says, but I just want to sum it up. The goal is to prevent Zuckerberg or anybody else from releasing these type of AIs out for public use and downloadable by bad actors.
Friends, it's and the website, by the way, is christianaction.org, christianaction.org. And friends, go online, read the report that they have written on this, and you can also review that petition that he mentioned there as well. Is Congress, are they alert to what's going on? Are they aware of what Zuckerberg is doing and what's at risk for our nation?
I want to say Congress hears whispers about it, but I don't think they fully understand it, nor do they care. The people shouting the most are experts in the industry. They're shouting at the top of their lungs, people who understand AI, saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But here's the problem, Jim. Experts in the industries only talk to other people in the same vacuum that they're in. And they're not talking to the grassroots people. They're talking to other scientists. They're talking to other tech people. And maybe a member of Congress will hear it. Certainly the media is not going to report about it because that's too much work for them to figure out what this AGI thing is all about. So there's no pressure going on Congress right now. They don't truly understand it. And if you say stuff like I'm saying right now, they're going to shrug their shoulder and say, oh, another conspiracy.
Yeah, where's your tinfoil hat?
Yes. So we have to create a groundswell. And I believe this with all my heart, Jeff. God laid this on me to be that spokesman for the grassroots, because nobody out there in the grassroots with the size of the organization we have is talking about this. And we have got to get this message out. That's why I wanted to come on the air today. We've done podcasts about that. And actually, your listeners, you can have access to the podcast episodes I've already done about this issue to learn more about it. And share it with your friends. Share it. Share that podcast out there. You don't have to read anything. Mm-hmm. All they got to do is just listen to me meander for about 20 minutes, and they're going to understand the complexities and the fear of what this thing is about to do. And then we got to get people to sign that petition. And I'm not going to forward it until I got enough names that makes it worthwhile forwarding it to Speaker Mike Johnson. And I want to show him that the people in America are serious about this. Do not let this thing out as an open source for bad actors to get their evil fingers on.
ChristianAction.org is the website. Again, that's ChristianAction.org. Martin, as you've done a lot of speaking and research on this, what about the general public? Are the people plugged in? I mean, some think that, this is just a tech issue. I'm not really, I'm not tech savvy, so I'm not going to do anything on this. Where is the general public on this?
Well, you're absolutely right, Jim. This is sneaking right past the general public because they don't understand it. And it's one of the greatest gifts to the tech people out there who want it, and it's another great gift to all the bad actors out there, and there's many of them who also want this program released to the public. So the public is asleep. They don't understand it. They don't want to take the time to hear about it, and if they do hear about it, their first reaction is going to be, I'm going to put off tomorrow's worries today. So I'm just going to go on with my life and worry about that tomorrow.
Yep.
So we're going to have a lot of people out there who just aren't going to take any action about this. And the consequence is going to be, and hear me out right now, you ignore today, you're going to live with it tomorrow. There is no doubt in my mind, if this thing is open source, we are headed toward human destruction here.
Yeah.
And if you doubt me, by the way, I want to bring this up. If you doubt me, if you have access to any AI out there, I don't care if it's DeepSeek, or it's ChatGPT, or Gemini, or Bing's Copilot, if you doubt what I say, put it in one of those machines and let the machine itself tell you how dangerous this is going to be if it's out there in the public. You don't have to take my word for it. Take it from the mouth of the person that is actually who is that artificial intelligence.
Martin, and again, what you're talking about is not just conjecture. There are a number of sources indicating that, as we mentioned, Mark Zuckerberg, he's on a poaching spree right now, trying to secure top talent, including no less than 11 top AI engineers that they report he's been in contact with. It was being reported that he just hired the top AI expert at Apple. Some articles indicate some huge salaries or signing bonuses that are being put on with this. I mean, astronomical figures that are going on. He is very dedicated and very serious about going ahead and developing these meta super intelligent labs and to take AI to levels we've never seen before.
Well, that, and of course it means a lot of money for him, because Meta, once he announced that last week that he plans on making this open source, his Meta stock just skyrocketed. People out there saying, oh, here's where I want to put my money. Zuckerberg's going to be first. He's going to be the first one out of the gate with AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence, and that stock is really going to skyrocket, so I'm going to start pouring my money into it. That's exactly what Zuckerberg wanted, and actually I hope this is the case, that's the only reason why he's announcing he's making it open source, is to increase that stock level, because I hope when the day comes that he actually has it, he's also going to issue a press release saying, well, after discussion with a lot of people in the business, we have decided not to make this an open source machine. But who knows? I can't guarantee that. None of us can guarantee it. But one thing we can guarantee, if he does make it open source, it'll be out there, it'll be everywhere, and there's no bringing it back once it's gone. People out there will think, oh, well, if it's out there, the government will protect us by just taking it back down. They can't. They will not be able to take it back down. It'll be on so many servers out there, they won't even be able to find them all.
Friends, you're listening to Crosstalk on VCY America, and Martin Mawyer is with us here today from Christian Action Network. They do have a petition to Congress right on their website. They're easy to find on their homepage at christianaction.org, christianaction.org. We're going to take a quick break, and friends, let's open our phone lines here as well. We'll take your calls, your questions on this, or brief comments. Our number to Crosstalk is 800-733-9829. That's 1-800-733-9829. Do you understand the magnitude of what we're talking about here today, and now to make this open source and the solicitation to the top AI people in the world to come alongside to help build this meta super intelligence labs? Friends, we'll be back in 1 minute. You're listening to Crosstalk on the VCY American Network.
Many are concerned today by a culture that has turned its back on God. Instead of providing spiritual answers, the modern-day church is nothing more than a reflection of the Church of Laodicea, a church caught up in itself with little regard to God. Available on DVD, Time Changer takes an individual from the year 1890 to the present to catch a glimpse of where society will go if only following good morals, but void of the authority of Jesus Christ.
Russell, you must listen.
It's impossible to travel through time.
But it is possible.
Good evening, Norris.
Russell, please.
Good evening.
You must see for yourself what happens in the future.
The 95-minute DVD Time Changer is available for a donation to VCY of $15, with each additional copy to the same address for a donation of just $10 more. Call 1-800-729-9829.
You're listening to Crosstalk on the VCY American Network. Martin Mawyer is with us today, president of Christian Action Network. We're on today with a warning about the open source AGI plan, and Mark Zuckerberg is putting together his team right now to put together these meta super intelligence labs. And friends, we're taking your questions, your brief comments on this issue. Our number 800-733-9829. Martin, what's important to know, I mean, this program that we're on right now, we're using technology to get our Christian message across and around the world. We proclaim the gospel through our Bible teaching programs we have on this network and other programming as well. And we use this technology for good. And AI can be used for good. It can also, in the wrong hands, be used for evil.
You know that's precisely correct. But if we look at the history of anything in inventions, every invention ever made that I can come up with has been created for good, but has also been used for bad. I don't care if it's a car that can then turn into a car bomb, or a knife for your dinner that can then be turned into stab somebody. Just name a device, an invention out there, that someone has to figure out a way to make it an evil instrument as well. So AGI overall can be very beneficial to mankind, and if we can just keep it into the right hands, that would be great. But also we have one other thing to concern about. Who is actually putting the human values into AGI? Is it Zuckerberg's values? Whose values are these?
Right.
And that's where AGI becomes very scary for us Christians, because we do not know how it's going to interpret our biblical stance on many of the things the current woke world out there thinks is blasphemous and hateful and Nazi-ish. Yeah. And so we have to be concerned about that falling even into what we would call good hands.
Let's get to the phone lines. Kevin is calling first. Hi, Kevin. You're on the air.
Oh, thanks, because I've been dealing with this for a few years, and I just happened to turn it on. He said, Kevin, ask them if they've heard of STI. It's in John 14, verse 17. It's called Spirit of Truth Intelligence, because the world neither sees it nor knows it, because it can move invisibly through the field that Satan can't detect. So that beats both your good and bad demons. Because in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, even though it was a story, the character of Dreyfus was being...
I tell you what, Kevin, I don't want to go down that road there, but let me just say this, that though there is the aspiration to be like God, and that Lucifer himself did that from heaven, I will ascend above the clouds, I'm going to be like the Most High. There are those that are seeking to do that, and thank you for raising that issue. And Martin, let me just say this, that there are people, I mean, they're talking about a new AI Bible, and AI is going to, take care of all of these things. We're going to have surveillance from AI to monitor what's happening within our bodies, AI to monitor our thoughts, on and on this thing goes. Yeah. But we want to become our own gods and in this quest, and that's where things are rapidly advancing.
It is. It's advancing into a spiritual world that is not seen, just like in the spiritual world between the angels and demons that we do not see. Yeah. That's the world that we're going to be living in, except we're going to be living both a spiritual world and a physical world that mirrors that spiritual world.
Mark is calling next. Mark, you're on the air.
Yeah, I'm kind of spinning off what you just mentioned already, but my question is ASI already exceeded the human involvement? Or has it already become its own entity, like, already almost to the point of the image of the beast? I don't see, I see more diabolic participation, overseeing the programming of this thing, and I think it's already gone past human capacity. I guess that's my point.
Okay, thank you for that. And we haven't gotten to ASI yet, but Martin, we're in some regards, indeed, AI is so much smarter than the average bear.
Absolutely, even artificial narrow intelligence is smarter than me. Yeah, I can guarantee you that. So can you imagine once it gets to AGI, where it now takes on a human behavior? That is the big difference, and we need to really understand that. ANI cannot adopt its own conscious. It can't adopt reasoning. It can't adopt human emotions. But AGI now moves into that ability where it can achieve those things. It basically becomes a human.
Friends, again,
but a very smart human.
The website, again, is christianaction.org, and you can download his report on this. There's a petition there for Congress, christianaction.org. I just want to mention one other resource we have here at Crosstalk, and it's a book written by Dr. Richard Schmidt, former sheriff of Milwaukee County, called Artificial Intelligence, Transhumanism, and the De-Evolution of Democracy. A powerful book. We've interviewed him on this book, and we make this available. Our way of saying thank you for your support of $18 or more to Crosstalk. It's available at 800-729-9829. That's 800-729-9829. Roger is calling next. Hi, Roger. You're on the air.
Yes. My question, just after reviewing a number of things, reading the Bible, a number of things that come across from ministries, and just wondering, does the Antichrist have to be human? Could it be any type of form of this AI that's out there that it could take on? Well, I've seen, pictures of these robots, and all right, well, this is a human form. It could be clothed in human apparel, but still being just totally AI and controlling the world that way.
Okay. Martin, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, I do have thoughts on that, but I want to, put a caveat here. I don't know that my thoughts are correct, but believe me, I have wondered whether or not this super intelligent AI, whoever comes out with it, could be the Antichrist, because it will be able to hold the world hostage.
Yeah.
It will be able to dictate who buys, who does not buy. It fits everything in Revelation, for sure. I'm not going to risk my reputation to say, yes, it is. But, man, you have to look that direction, that's for sure.
Thank you for the call. And what we do see, though, is Satan is going to empower the one known as Antichrist, but it is evil, it's diabolical, and used in hands very wrongly. Kelly is calling from California. Kelly, you're on the air.
Yes, hi. I jumped into this a little late, I think, so I just want to, clarify something. Is this the guy that you're interviewing? Mr. Maury, is that his last name?
Mawyer.
Mawyer, I'm sorry. Mawyer. I was just wondering if he's trying to stop this, or what are his thoughts on that?
Okay.
I think I'm listening a little late.
Okay. Yep.
Sure. I'll just quickly say, yes, we are trying to stop that. We're trying to get the word out. We're using radio programs such as we are doing today. We're putting it out on all of our social media programs. We're attempting to lobby Congress to stop Zuckerberg from putting this out as open source. There's a lot of work to do, and quite frankly, Zuckerberg just announced it 2 weeks ago, or less than 2 weeks ago, so we're behind the eight ball, and he's got a lot more money than we do, a whole lot more money. So it's going to be an uphill battle, especially in trying to convince Congress, whose interests are to serve the public. That's how they view themselves, rather than the tech people who are shouting out alarms. Look, if you're a congressman and the public wants this because they're told, a cure for cancer is on its way, if only we can get AGI out there, it will be able to figure out this cure and a host of other ailments it will be able to solve for us. The public's going to say, yes, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. That's what Congress is going to hear. Then you're going to hear voices like mine saying, it's going to give you that, and then it's going to kill you a different way. And it's going to kill you the other way faster than the cure is coming.
Thank you for the call. And there is a petition that he has on his website, christianaction.org, christianaction.org. Thank you for the call. We've got Chris calling next. Hi, Chris, you're on the air.
Hi, Jim. Yeah. None of this should take us by surprise, because as born-again believers, we know the Word of God. We know what's to come. And I do prison ministry. I often share what's coming next on the biblical calendar, the rapture of the church. And I'd recently printed some T-shirts. I make Christian T-shirts as well. And the shirt that I just had printed recently, on the front of the shirt, it's enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, many shall find it. And then along with the other verse, and on the front it says, get right. On the back of the shirt, it's the picture of the rapture. I have people disappearing out of churches, bodies being caught up together with 1 Thessalonians 4:13 through 18 on the back of the shirt.
Thank you, Chris.
I want to address that for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate what the caller has said. But there is an attitude among Christians, and that is, well, it's coming anyway. What can I do about it? You know, God said it. He predicted it. He prophesied it. So I'm just going to sit back and let it come. And that's not what God has called us to do.
Right.
God has not called us to help usher in the Antichrist. He's called us and to keep pushing him further and further and further away. So let's not look at this and say, well, it's coming anyway, so, you know, what can I do? Or why should I do anything? It's biblical. I can't stop what the Bible says. Yes, you can. You can't stop Antichrist from coming, but you can push him back. And for the sake of our children and our grandchildren, we should be doing everything we can to delay that day when the Antichrist arrives.
We are called in Scripture to be salt and to be light, and that shows activeness in both of that, to advance the gospel message as well as to act as salt, an agent that is that which enhances flavor, but is also that which heals wounds. It is that which has so many different impacts upon society itself. I think, Martin, of Jonah. Okay, so he was sent to Nineveh. In 40 days, Nineveh's going to be overthrown. Okay, judgment's coming. And yet, because the message was heeded and the people repented, that destruction was withheld from Nineveh at that time. It was it happened down the road. It was delayed.
That's a very good example.
And yet, because the people heard and responded, and the message went out, people turned. And that's really what the hope is that people will turn and understand the where this is going, and here to get engaged with Congress in this regard, and as you indicate, give further opportunity for people to hear the message of Jesus.
Yeah, and the other problem, Jim, is that people are going to say, well, you know, if Antichrist comes, I'm going to rapture before he gets here anyway. Mm-hmm. Well, even if that is true, I'm not convinced, and I'm not saying it's not true, but even if that is true, a lot of people can die a lot of horrible deaths before that rapture happens. Mm-hmm. And if you doubt me, look at what's happened to the Christians in Africa.
Yeah.
They're dying horrible deaths before the rapture gets there. And it's the same Antichrist spirit that's killing them. So don't think that you're going to rapture away from this pain. You want to push it down the road.
Our phone number to Crosstalk, 800-733-9829. Christine in Racine, Wisconsin, you're on the air.
I appreciate what you're doing so deeply. And because of VCY, I have been active my entire Christian walk. When I found VCY, it was always an encouragement to do that, to be salt and light. So, but my call is the thrust of it is this. I know that this is an AI arms race, and China will not stop, and that's what their mindset will be. It will be, well, they're not going to stop. We can't stop either. And I'm not saying that you don't call in and do everything possible, but literally, when you have someone like Elon Musk, who just told us, this was over a year ago, he said, what is the likelihood that AI will destroy us all? He said 20-25%. He said, what's the time frame? Oh, over 10 years or less. Oh, a little more than 10 years. So, I mean, he was very matter-of-fact about it. So I know that we can't stop this, but I'm all for doing whatever we possibly can, and I thank you.
Thank you, Christine. We're up against a break right now. We'll be back with our guest response and more of your phone calls. Our number to Crosstalk is 800-733-9829. Back in a minute here on the VCY American Network.
For the Worldview Report, I'm Brandon House. Our website's worldviewtube.com. Well, the word now is that Jeffrey Epstein did not have a client list, and apparently he did nothing wrong, and he committed suicide. Wow. That's 180 degrees from what we were being told by some of the very people who are now inside the DOJ and the FBI. My friends, I've been encouraging the listeners to my broadcast since day one of the re-election of Donald Trump to lower their expectations. America's federal government has become so corrupt and it controls so many that I believe Americans need to understand there's very little change that's going to come from Washington, D.C. I believe it must happen at a constitutional level, at the local level, at the state level, at the 10th Amendment level. Until then, I don't see much solution. We'll have some wins, but at the end of the day, No, the deep state will roll on. I'm Brandon House.
You're listening to Crosstalk on VCY America. Martin Mawyer is with us today with the plan for open source AGI, as announced by Mark Zuckerberg, having the putting together of Meta Superintelligence Labs. We're talking about the impact of AI, and it's critically important that we're understanding of these times. And I do believe in a pre-tribulational rapture, but I'll say this, that we are to occupy that. To me, Martin, that just heightens the intensity of where we're at and the importance of getting out the gospel message for such a time as this.
Absolutely. Pre-trib, mid-trib, no rapture, whatever. That shouldn't be what we should be thinking about anyway.
Right.
We should be thinking about what God told us to do. That's to be the salt and light of the earth.
Make disciples.
Get His truth out there.
Indeed.
And stop evil.
Now, the caller right before the break mentioned about China, this arms race, so to speak, the AI race.
Yeah, well, right now China doesn't have the ability to create the semiconductors that it needs to be able to make AGI, but it has made AI a top priority in the nation. So it's just a matter of time before they're able to make those conductors, and so it's coming, from that nation. I don't think Iran's going to be able to do it on their own, or Russia, but America certainly has the ability to do it. And China, they graduate more tech people than the United States does. So they're working on it.
Our number is 800-733-9829. We have Lori calling from Michigan. Lori, you're on the air.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. And I wanted to say, and for bringing this subject up for years, knowing I've traveled a lot, have a missionary in my family, objects are very commonly what I would call demon possessed. And that sounds crazy for people that don't understand, and they've never been around. I've been in places where there's voodoo. There's certain things you don't buy. Sometimes I go in the children's departments in the store, and they'll give you the hair will stand up on the back of your neck.
Mm-hmm.
What I guess I'm trying to say is that when I heard about this AI coming down the pike, and it seemed like some of the makers of it were complaining that it was getting out of control and getting ahead of them and taking off on their own. I said, wow, I can see this is totally demonic. And so like you said, you can use it sometimes for good, but I personally have tried to stay away from it completely. I don't even want a smartphone.
Yeah.
But I just have to say that I've seen the demonic element in this for years, and that I could connect it with Revelation and all the things that we see in Revelation that don't make a lot of sense, and would have never made sense 100 years ago to any of our family members. But, I mean, I can just see that it's something we need to be very careful about. And thank you. We need to pray for our Congress as we call them and as we contact them. We need to be praying for them, that God will soften their hearts to hear us.
Thank you, Lori.
So,
appreciate it.
God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye now.
And just to be clear, tech researchers in the industry have not stopped shouting. They are shouting, and they're still shouting. It's just that Congress is ignoring them. That's why the American public, people like you out there in your homes, have got to be a voice, because you're the voters that they are worried about, has got to contact them to stop this madness. ChristianAction.org. You'll find a petition there for your reading and review. Bob in Milwaukee, you're on the air.
Oh, hi. This is Bob Roman, and I own my own AI company. It's a Christian-based company, and I'm right with you. I'm looking at the website. I want to sign a petition because it is a big issue. I do use it for good. It helps me do different things, research, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But and there's some people that are fighting along this issue of Facebook opening this up, and I agree 100% that this is. I've been in tech for over 42 years, and I've never seen anything like AI. I think most of us who are in tech have never seen anything like AI.
Yeah.
So my question was, I've been continuing this research, and I noticed that now companies are using DNA to store data. So forget the big data fields. They're actually using human DNA and attributing it to Mother Nature. And they are also using brain cells to accelerate the speed of processing. Those are two areas that we need to be concerned about because they're actually using God's design and obviously telling it it's Mother Nature, and they're violating what Genesis 6 did, where that DNA and angels, the whole thing of DNA and angels in Genesis 6. But it's actually happening. I was at a conference, and these small companies came up and said, "Yeah, we're using DNA for storing our information, and we're using brain cells to process the speed of these computers." It's actually exceeding quantum levels of speed.
Bob, let me have our guest comment on it. Thank you for the call.
Well, I think there's no question out there that what your caller is saying is true. I know somebody's out there at all times trying to figure out how to ramp up the system and trying to figure out, will this work, will that work, and using brain cells and DNA to speed it up. I think there's no question that people are researching that right now. How long that will be? Will it be after they actually achieve AGI or ASI? I don't know. Could it be before? It's possible. Only Zuckerberg right now has to answer to that question because he's super duper involved in it.
Yeah, thank you, Bob, for bringing that up. Let's go to John in Texas. John, you're on the air.
Hi, thanks, Jim. So what we need is revival. In order to get revival, we need to pray. We need to repent in sackcloth and ashes.
Yeah. Repentance so badly needed. Thank you for raising that issue. And it's an element in all of this here, too. Martin, you mentioned before about this being a spiritual battle, and we do have the offensive weapons of the Word of God. We have prayer that is before us as well, and it's important that we commit these matters in prayer.
Yeah, and it's important that pastors speak out because, look, they're one of the biggest megaphones out there, right? And they should be educating their congregants about this because it really isn't something you can just put on the table, forget about, and say, oh, this is just another, social issue out there that I don't want to plague my congregants with. This is a life and death type issue, and they need to take this serious. They need to make sure that their followers and church members know what this is about and get on this project right away to stop Zuckerberg from releasing this as an open source machine.
Martin Mawyer is with us, friends. Our theme is starting up right now, our close to the program, so we apologize to other callers on hold here. We're not able to grab any more phone calls, but friends, you're informed, and you can get more information by going to the website christianaction.org. christianaction.org. You'll find a petition there as well. Martin, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having me on this show. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed your listener call-ins as well. Thank you very much.
Martin's with the Christian Action Network. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53208. Or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for Crosstalk.